Okay, we're now live. This is amazing. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another session with Aces of Ventures. I'm Jean, your host. We have today we have like a new uncommon podcast. We're going to be talking about something that I've been really interested in for quite some time. It is how to succeed as a digital nomad. We've all heard of this term, especially after the COVID pandemic. Everyone's starting to hear about it and like, oh, how can I work fully remote and go wherever I want and work from wherever I want? Well, today we have like an expert digital nomad who's going to be talking everything about this topic and explaining to us how he succeeds at it, how he manages everything from his time, his work, and everything else. But before we start, as usual, I'm gonna give you a small 1 minute presentation about Aces of Ventures so everyone can know about it. I'm gonna be sharing my screen right now. I hope everyone can see it. If yes, just drop a yes in the chat box, and I'm gonna just go ahead and start. So, Aces of Ventures is a global decentralized entrepreneurship accelerator. We aim at bringing funds in an easier way to entrepreneurs and people who have ideas and startups. Everything is designed based on the card decks, the cards that you use to play with when we were young and even now, because the cards represent our actions in life, our decisions, and we are all aces. This is why it is called Aces of Ventures. We all create our own path and take our own decisions in life. So how it is themed is really cool. We have the Jack card right here, which is the orange or pink one. Any holder of this NFT will be able to submit their pitch to our community, because we will be having regular pitches where 5 entrepreneurs will be chosen from the community to submit their ideas to us in order to have a winner. The king and the queen cards will be able to choose whoever gets to pitch. And because we believe in women empowerment, only the queen card holder will be able to ask questions to the entrepreneurs that pitch. And these are the rest of the cards for the community, and they are all eligible to vote on the pitching winner. Our co-founders are Andre Abiawad and Robert Tabit. Andre is a serial entrepreneur and entrepreneurship trainer. He has trained over 1,000 entrepreneurs in more than 54 countries. And Robert is a serial entrepreneur with over 6 established businesses. Our team is made up of more than 20 individuals, including investors, creative directors, and a podcaster, which is me. Our main challenge in Aces of Ventures is to reward over $1 million to 100 entrepreneurs based on different categories, and to bring as much educational content as possible by bringing more than 100 speakers from 50 countries to share their value and stories with us. And of course, executing NFT and Web3 utilities, such as burning your NFTs, holding your NFTs, and lastly, Fusion, where you will be able to merge 2 NFT cards to get more benefit, including access to over 1,300 business lounges in the airports worldwide. So with that, I'm going to be concluding my presentation, and we're going to head right up to our podcast with Leo Vieira. Leo, I think I enabled you to unmute yourself right now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, amazing. Leo, welcome, man. It's amazing to have you. I'm really excited to have this podcast with you right now. And guys, before Leo introduces himself, feel free to ask any question you may have during this session. We will get to it, of course. And now, Leo, feel free to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your story.
Sure. No, thank you a lot, and thank you for having me, John. Thank you everyone for joining this podcast. I'm really glad to be here, and really honored to talk about this subject that I have been researching and living a lot. So yeah, I'm Leo Vieira. I'm from Brazil, born in Brazil, but now I'm living home base in Colombia. I'm 29 years old, degree in marketing, and I have been working as full remote, let's say 2 years right now, but I have some experience before that, and I was always interested on that, and I feel like it's really nice to talk about that right now, because we are living, let's say, a revolution, right? Like,
yeah,
of course, like for a long time,
it is transitioning from this.
Totally. Like, we know, like, remote work is not new. like a lot of people already did that just a long time before this pandemic and COVID things happened. But for, let's say, for a massive perspective, everything's happening now, right? So we are able and honored to see this transition, right, from home office, a centric office to a centric home base or remote. And it's really nice to talk and really important to talk about it because, like, it's really new subject. So we don't know exactly how that works. Who works is still learning. Like, who doesn't work, like, don't know, like, less, right? So
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
like, it's really nice to share and to share experience about that.
Yes, 100% Leo, and I'm really excited to have you here as well. Let's start it off with did it happen for you? How did you start being a full-time remote worker, or when did you decide that okay, this is the lifestyle I want to live?
Sure. Before, I had some experience as a freelancer, right? So I have been working as a freelancer for a few time. So I kind of had this opportunity to work remotely by my own, but I really went deep on this on this environment when I joined GitLab. GitLab is a platform for DevOps, a DevOps platform, right? So they are completely remote since they found the company. So a long time before everything happened, they are really a company that is really a reference for the marketing. And when we're talking about remote work, because they do a really great job and they experience a lot, right? So
Yes.
for this reason, I could learn more and go deep and started to research and to talk with people with different companies with different perspectives. And also, I always want to know to be a digital nomad, right? So to
Yeah.
be able to travel and to be able to not have a just one place, but to be able to have a freedom, a geographic freedom. And science always, I remember that I read, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or more, I read the 4 hours work week from Tim Ferriss that I really recommend.
Yeah.
Who didn't read it, it's really amazing. And also, if you see when he wrote that, like, man, was now is something shocking. Imagine like 10, 11 years ago, that was really a mindset and to a way to see the future, really different, really disruptive. And since then, I have been, looking for
Yeah.
alternatives to have just the same lifestyle. So,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Leo, I wanted to ask you, we always see on social media that like living as a remote entrepreneur or online entrepreneur or digital nomad, like people show us a lifestyle where they travel all the time and work from wherever they want in life, on the beach, in a hotel, or wherever. But I wanted to ask you, what is the reality of it? Is it that simple? Is it that easy?
It's it's simple, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you have your environment set up for that, it's simple, but it's not easy to get there.
Yeah.
Let's say in this way, like,
Yeah.
you have to prepare and you have to plan very well to get there, and also to understand the different concepts of what is exactly a remote work, right? Because remote work is the culture involved being work from anywhere, right? But inside that, there is the type of uh, home office, for example, right? Like, you work from your house, but you are based just in one location. That's one thing. Like, you have
Yeah.
everything involved. You create your own office in your house, and that's okay. But when you are working as a digital nomad, you are frequently moving, right? So if you don't have like the knowledge and the mindset for that, prepare for that, you not be productive, and you give up really easy, right? Because it's
Yeah.
not easy also to separate when you are traveling, because actually that's one of the mixed conceptions, because you are not exactly traveling, right? Like, because
Yeah.
when we understand like traveling, you when say kind of okay, I am on vacation, but you are not. Like if you are 3 months in Bali, that's your house, that's your home base. So you have to know exactly and respect your rules, and the time you have to work, the time that you have to enjoy the place you are. So yeah, it's simple
Yeah.
when you have your rules, but you have to pass some stage to get there.
Yeah, I think a lot of responsibility like gets added to you when you decide to become a digital nomad, because you're going to be creating your own schedule, your own time. There isn't like a company that tells you, okay, you just have to work these hours and that's it. You will have to set up everything.
No, that's perfect. Like when we come from a office environment, right? Like everyone
Yeah,
tells you what you have to do, right? Like you
yeah,
know that you have to respect the 8 to 5 right p.m.
yeah,
and you
exactly.
have from 5 p.m. to your time, like to enjoy, to do whatever you want. But when you are on your own, like as a digital nomad or as a freelancer, in fact, and when like you you have to create your own rules and respect that. So if you have a deadline, but I don't know, uh,
Yeah, yeah,
you want, like you don't have someone like in your shoulder saying like, no, you have to do your no, you're
yeah. You
responsible.
can end up working the whole day, and you wouldn't even notice.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And that's something that happen also when you work too much, right? Like you can go to extreme, like you can work too much
Yeah,
or you can not work like
yeah,
enough. You know what I mean? So
yeah, yeah,
and you have to be really defined and exactly what your accomplice has to do daily, weekly, monthly, and just respect that.
yeah. 100%. And Leo, what were some early challenges you faced when you started working from home, or like traveling and working?
Sure. Well, I believe one of my challenges, and I believe everyone faced that when start to work remotely, is, as I was talking, like is separate what is personal, what is professional, right? So, for example, I'm
Yeah,
working at home, and you just mentioned we was talking before, right? The podcast, and just made like a lot of people saying that they work more when they're work at home than at the office, right? But
yeah,
that is really connected because we don't separate what is passion. So, for example, I'm working here and I have some dish to wash, so I go there and wash my dishes, and someone come to my house and I talk, and like I start to see
yeah,
I'm here working. I open YouTube and watch some. So and when
yeah,
you are at the office, we don't know, you do not know, do enough of that, right? So we're really
yeah,
focused on just our job. So this is one thing, and other things is related to all the culture or the environment that involves work from home or remote work, right? So what happened after the pandemic, and a lot of companies start to to send people work from home, they kind of try to replicate what they did at office at home, so
yeah,
the same culture, the same way to communicate it, the same tools. So when you are work from home, if you have your team, like if you are entrepreneur and you have your own team, uh, you have to adapt your way to work for a remote centric, right?
yeah,
And so, like for example, I don't know, people that still use like WhatsApp has a team communication, like it's not the tool adequate or a fit tool for these reasons, no? So you have to find your
Yeah.
right tools, the right way to communicate, to 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 communicate asynchronous, like something that I faced when I started to work at home, because we don't like it, but we're kind of adapted to use it to micromanagement, right? So all the time people like watching you and talking to you, you have to report like all the time, and when you're remote, that is not something that you can do for a long time. So if you start like to micromanaging your team, first day you get really boring, right? So
Yeah.
and you be working much more and be much more hard for you to do that. So if you have a team, and you have to trust them and to have to give the resource to them to do the job, and not the necessity to control, right?
Yeah.
So that's some things that sometimes like we face when has a challenge, right? To when we start to work remotely. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like things like also when I started to separate, like it's really important to talk and to align with who you work, who you live with. Like, so I live here with my wife, right? So, and if you live with your family, your friends, they need to know, like, if I am this spot, I'm working, like I'm not
Yeah.
at home, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have the time to go to throw the garbage. I don't have time to, like I'm focused on my job. So
Yeah.
it's really important to align with who you live with, like, and separate that. And also you, right? Like, for example, I cannot, I'm working here, right? But I take the food and start to eat here and start to watch, I don't know, my series. And, so I
Yeah.
also
And you
have
start
to
wasting
know
time and everything.
exactly. And they you see, like, I'm not doing my job, like I'm not working. So if I'm not respecting my rule, they will not respect that. So they are interrupt
Yeah.
you, and consequently, no loss of
Yeah,
productivity.
exactly. And actually, this is a very important point that you talked about, that we should set boundaries with ourselves and with the people that are around us, that are maybe in the same house that we're working with. I actually never thought of this. Like when I'm in a certain spot, it's like I'm not in the house, but it just happens to be there physically. And Leo, what were the tools or maybe the skills that made your journey as a digital nomad, or as a person that works fully online, a better experience?
Uh, well, the skills that we have to develop to do this kind of work, is to follow this kind of culture, is you have to first to be have this sense of uh how can I say, entrepreneur,
Yeah,
like, even like if you have your own business, that's great, you have your, but if you are work for someone else, you have to feel that that business is yours. So you have to control and to be focused on the results, not just work because someone is watching you. So it's really,
yeah,
it's really important for that. So that's something. Also, one the values of GitLab, and I mention a lot of GitLab here because of course it's the company that I work with,
yeah,
and they are really good at in this field, right? So one of the things is results. Like if your work has a developer, that's great. Like exactly, you have your sprint, right? You have your project, you know exactly where you should go, what you should deliver. So it's much easier. But there is some types of work that the delivery is something that is not need to be aligned before, right? Need to put and document that exactly what you should deliver, when you should deliver, and saying
Yeah.
about quotas and things like that. So before any type of work you started, you should define exactly what it should deliver. Why? Because you are not more being evaluating by your time, no, the time that you worked, and something that I believe you changed a lot, right? We are in this revolution, like in this shifted
Yeah.
from time working versus what you deliver, right? So we are shifting for exactly how much we deliver or what you should deliver, independently if I work 2 hours or 12 hours, right? Of course, it has to
Yeah.
be really aligned, right? Like you'll be really, but I'm saying, like, you have to be focused on results. So
Yeah.
this is the kind of skills that you should develop, like focus on skills, and also to focus on to be productive, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Of
but that's
course. Of
something
course.
like productivity is something that if you're not productive and like work from home, you're not productive at office too. But
Yeah.
like you need to be much more, like you need to be much more focused when you're
Yeah,
working
because
by
there are
your
way more
own.
distractions actually at home, like, and
Yes.
it's really easy to lose focus. So, um, I do work remotely, and like the first time I started to work online was with a company, and like one thing they told me, and I learned this, and it was really good. They told me if you want to work remotely, like they gave me the option to either go to the office or work from home. They told me you need to
Mm-hmm.
get the perfect chair, the perfect table, the perfect desk, and everything that makes it an actual office.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you start working, it's not going to be like you're at home. You're going to be at the company, but just not physically there. So this is something like I never thought of, and it's actually really helpful. And because there are so many
Yes.
distractions at home, and it's very easy to lose focus and lose track of time, because you're here 24 hours a day. So you're going to say, okay, I'm going to work whenever I want to. So this is a great point you actually mentioned.
No, that's perfect. And some things, like, from to have quality, right? It is have
Yeah.
this your setup really, really good. Not is not working from your kitchen
Yeah. Yeah.
table, like your couch. No, you have to have a good chair, right? Ergonomic setup, uh, the right, like, your microphone be good, at least has a microphone,
Yeah.
no, like,
Yeah.
because you'll be all the time talking and communicating, and it's your tool to communicate, right? And also, one of the things that is really important and to do a really great job anywhere is have this certain tools made for that. So, like, as I mentioned before, like WhatsApp is not something
Yeah.
to use for your team, right? Because you
Yeah.
lost the, like,
It's
the
gonna
content, the
be
document.
mixed with your personal chats and
Yes,
things.
yes, perfect.
Yeah.
And you'll be like competing with, like, what you should do, and the memes from your friends, right? Like the jokes from your friends,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and all at the same
Yeah.
time. And so there is a lot of good tools, like, for communicating, for communicate for him. Slack is really good. Like, you can separate in groups, but still Slack, I feel like you have to have the time to see that, because if you sometimes you can also lose productivity there, like pass a lot of
Yeah.
time there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a lot others ones is
There's actually a
for
point
communication.
that you mentioned. I just wanted to lay focus on it when you said that you should be more result oriented is actually really good, because sometimes when we are I think remote work and the pandemic and everything created this culture where when you start working remotely, nobody cares how many hours you work. They just care about the results you're going to give them. So if they give you a task or a
Totally.
project, you can work 20 hours or you can work 2 hours. The company wouldn't care. They will just see what you have done at the end. So this is something to think about as well.
Totally. And that's something that I feel like once the biggest struggles for companies to
Yeah,
migrate it for all remote, right? Because they still don't know how to shift it from time
yeah,
watching, like time like you should work, you should be there, to results, to delivery, you know. So that's something, and like I don't know, they want to keep the control, like so that's something that brings more productivity for all the company, right? If I'm being more productive and focus on results, and
yeah,
consequently that is really nice for the company too, and for me, right? If I know
yeah,
exactly where I should go and when I should deliver, that is much more easy for me, right? So if you are managing a team, if you have your own business, like start since the beginning doing that is really common when you are working with freelancers, right? So when
yeah,
you do a job, like you set up exactly what they should deliver, like it's kind of the same.
yeah,
But when you have a fixed team, kind of change a little bit.
yeah,
One of
100%.
the other tools that I want to mention also about communication is Basecamp. Basecamp is a really nice tool
Leo,
to.
can you type it in the chat box so that we can use it?
Sure, of
If you
course.
can, of course,
Okay.
it would be nice.
Basecamp. I didn't. Uh,
Okay.
Basecamp, they no, they live the same, has a Teams or Slack, but it's
Yeah,
much more easier to separate, no, the and to do like your projects there and to communicate with your team and to set up the news and what is new, the updates and things like that. So it's much more easy because don't take too much the focus, no, to out the focus
yeah,
like Slack or Teams, for example. I don't recommend my Teams because like it's a good, they are improving, but still there is no way to separate by subject, you know, so you can lose
yeah,
uh, documentation too easy. So that's
yeah,
something.
yeah. That's true. And Leo, do you read? Do you read books?
Yes, I read. I like it.
What are your favorite ones?
Well, I was the guy that used to read a lot of uh, productivity and
Yeah,
motivation, you know, like or
yeah,
biographies. I really like biographies, and but the 4 hours we all from Tim Ferriss. I
yeah,
really like it. Tim Ferriss is a really great writer, and the things that he usually talk is really disruptive for the time that he writes. So, like for example, the 4 hours week uh,
yeah,
it was really disruptive for the time, like the for body and to be. And I really like the subjects related to biohacking, things like that. So
yeah,
I'm really interested in this field. Uh, but yeah, I'm really the biography and productivity guy. Like I really like this kind of
yeah, yeah,
uh, the Atomic Habits.
yeah,
It's a really good book. You know, like, there is a lot of insights that you can apply. Like at the same time you are reading, you can apply um, that that you are what you are reading. So I like things that I can use on my day life. You know,
yeah,
like I
yeah,
like to learn from that. Not just I'm not a fiction guy. Like I don't read too much fiction.
yeah,
Actually, I don't remember the last time I read some fiction book. So it's really good.
yeah,
I like it's really good, but I don't like I don't
yeah,
pass my time.
yeah, yeah. Actually, Atomic Habits. I finished reading it maybe 3 months ago. It's an amazing book.
Yes, totally.
And it's like whenever you do anything from the book, you just remember, okay, I learned this from that book, and I applied this. I like to use books as a reference or as a guide, not just like to learn. So
Uh-huh.
it's exactly just like you said.
No, yeah, that's great. Right now I start to use, I don't know, it's really, really polemic that I used to use short forms. Short forms
Yeah,
is application for they give like resumes, but really good
yeah.
ones. Like
Can you
so,
write it in the chat as well so we can
yes,
find it? What does it
short
do again?
short forms they give like a synthesis of the books, right? So
Yeah,
in a short way. So
yeah.
they I don't know actually I just forgot the what is the name for in the word in English, but
A
it's
summary,
not
maybe.
resume. Yeah, it's a summary, right? From
Yeah,
the
yeah,
book, but in a really good way. So who is writing the summary give their own opinion, right? So if something
yeah, yeah,
is not correctly from the book, so if they give something like a date, a data from
yeah,
something is not correctly or is not updated, they updated that. So it's really really nice to start a book, and if you like, sometimes I read in short
yeah,
form and I really like it, then I can buy the book, you know. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
started that, but who is aficionado for book, you don't like too much
yeah,
this tip, right? Like say it's not writing, it's not reading a book, but it's a good way to observe some information, right? So it's a
yeah, yeah.
it's a really good tool, a really good tool.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Um, it's been an amazing conversation so far, actually, Leo. Guys, if you have any question, feel free to ask because like we're reaching the end of the podcast. And Leo, I wanted to ask you, um, do you think you would ever go back to working in an office environment or maybe having your own office with a team that goes every day? Or like, do you think this is a great lifestyle for a long term?
No, actually, I don't feel. Actually, I was talking a few weeks ago with my wife about that, and we say like, I can't. I don't feel I can return, like, because actually
Yeah,
I never like it, right? Like, and a lot of
yeah,
people don't like it. Like they have to take like 1 hour of traffic, and you know, so. But when you see that is an alternative and you live that, is really hard
yeah,
to return. So I see, and
yeah,
much more I research and much more I go deeply, I see like there is a huge uh, opportunity and different opportunities to work remote. So it's
yeah,
not just focus on like before. Like before I was more focused, no talking about
yeah,
a digital nomad, for example. Talk about digital nomad, there is like happening a long time. Like digital nomads is thing like maybe 15 years, like on internet, right? Of course, there's people that did that before,
yeah,
but it start to be more popular on the field or on the niche of freelancers or business uh, entrepreneurs. But was more on that, right? If you was
yeah,
writing, if you have your online business, if you was a social business manager, was more focused on that. Right now,
yeah,
you have like a ton of options that is just, and each day that pass, you have more and more options. And I really recommend who like, I know the community here is full of entrepreneurs and full of
yeah.
online
I
business
wanted
guys.
as us. Yeah, yeah. You just reminded me. Speaking of communities and entrepreneurs, um, you're located between Brazil and Colombia, right? We can say
Yes,
that. How is the entrepreneurship ecosystem there, and how is like the nomadic lifestyle, if you want?
yes, the nomad environment or lifestyle is starting to grow a lot in South America.
Yeah,
Uh, like let's say the men or where I started, you started like South East Asia, right? So like
Yeah.
Canggu in Bali, for example, is like the place like Thailand, Vietnam,
Yeah.
some place in East Europe. So there was the place that kind of started. Right now there is some places in South Mexico, for example, in Tulum.
Yeah.
There is a lot of people, and here in Colombia, exactly, Medellin, there is a place that
Yeah.
there is a ton of digital nomads, and it's really good to see that's really growing. That because, and if someone has the opportunity to go and live a few months in a place like that, you can be digital nomad anywhere, right? Like you can
Yeah.
be your like digital nomad is not exact the
Yeah.
location like that city, but these hubs like Canggu, like Bali, like in Thailand, like in Medellin, is really nice when you are starting your own business or want to start your business, because that is where the people are, right? Like you
Yeah.
can have like a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, and to meet a different world that we don't see online, right? Because
Yeah.
uh, like these people, like of course we are online, but a lot of things that we don't share like on public, right? So the ways that we did it,
Yeah.
that so to be able to connect with these people, and or if you can't, just go to work in a co-working, for example. It's really nice. Like I really recommend to connect with people that are already doing this job, right?
Yeah.
Already creating that. So if you cannot go for these hubs, like the cities that is hubs for digital nomads, or no, go for a co-working, join communities, for example, inside the digital nomads lifestyle. There is one concept that has been creating and been growing right now that calls indie hackers. So indie hackers is who who like to be considered, right? Like an indie hacker,
Yeah.
you have to create your own business, and only you from bootstrap, right? So and only you manage that. So like online business, if you are a developer, you create your
Yeah.
app, your API, and it's really nice. There is a community called indie hackers .org. That is a forum uh, that is really really great. A lot of content, not just about digital nomads, but about like everything, like how to start your own business from scratch, right? And things that are still being tested. For example, for you can see there, and it's really nice what I mentioned that, because how much more you go deep, how much more you see alternatives to follow this kind of lifestyle, right? So you are not
Yeah.
just um, close to your own business, but you have much more alternatives. So I really recommend that. And also, just before I really like to mention,
Yeah.
there is but I just forgot her name. I note here somewhere. She just wrote a book, about digital nomads. That is
Yeah.
really really nice. It's Hazavi. Rolling Hazavi. I let me share here. Um, on the group, and she write the
And by the way, you
global
you have a
natives.
question as well in the chat box. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. And I already answered. Yeah, just so just to finish by learning, she is leading a project that calls Plumia, right? So
Yeah.
Plumia, the idea is to create a a internet passport, So for example,
Yeah.
we like as a digital nomad, once the challenge is visas, right? So like the borders, like I
Yeah.
being Brazilian don't have the same the same doors open as a who is from, I don't know, Europe or whatever,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this changed a lot. So, and just for the misconceptions from that where we are born, that is not something that has been changing like a lot, right? And also the digital nomads is really great for economy, because they're actually not going to take someone's job, right? So a lot of
Yeah.
countries, like, they have this kind of protection, like someone not come and steal the jobs who are there. No,
Yeah.
they have their own job, and actually they're bringing money, right? Like they are bringing money from outside
Yes, and they
and
bring and
to
they spend money inside of the country and everything. Yeah.
exactly. So like this, how much more grow this concept and the community of digital nomads, much more is good is for the economy. So I really recommend like you guys research about Laren and the Plumi project. That's like is something that can be really
Yeah.
disruptive for the time and really good for who is thinking about become a digital nomad. Is really great. I have a what?
Yeah, I'll be checking out Lauren for sure right after we end this. And Leo, we have a question. Yeah, someone asked you, what was the most challenging thing you faced when you started remote working?
And yes, thank you a lot for the question, Bara, right? Bara. Thank you a lot.
Yeah,
What, like as I mentioned, is to adapt it. The most big challenge was to adapt it and to as I mentioned before, right? The rules, like to create and respect the rules.
yeah,
This is a habit that you have to practice all the time to be good at it, right? Uh, so this is what was one of the biggest challenges, because when I started, I really honest, really transparent. I was not productive as I should be, because I mixed a lot of things just to be at home. So that is one thing. And also one thing like more related for GitLab, but can be like applied for everyone, and I really recommend it, is just GitLab follows this culture that we should document everything. So if you are working even by your own, right? If you buy your own, it's really
yeah,
important to document everything. So have a tool, like I usually for my personal works, Notion is really good. I say like it's my second brain, because everything I put there,
yeah,
like links and everything like I have it on Notion. By my profession, like working for in GitLab, I use GitLab. GitLab is a source for this reason too. But there is a ton of options online, but it's something that's really important that I start to get used to that after start working remotely.
yeah,
So I was really struggling with that when I started, like, because when we are working remotely, it's really easy to lose information, because
yeah,
when we are at office, okay, we are close, right? But at home or having our own business and creating things like that, like, is really easy to lose, because at first we are all the time, there is a ton of informations coming from everywhere, like, so I'm doing this project here and I'm researching about that here, and I'm watching a YouTube
yeah,
podcast here, and
yeah,
there's
yeah,
a insight there that I can. So document everything is really, really important when you are working remotely. Like, and so have a tool for that. Like, if you don't use it, no, if someone don't use it, I really recommend like the tool, like can use for manage your team. GitLab is a good one. For your personal things, like Notion is a good one. And but there is, of course, there is others.
Yeah.
And no, yeah, that was my challenges when
Yeah.
I started.
This is amazing, Leo. This is really amazing. Actually, I like almost everything you talked about. I never thought about it. I never knew about it because I work remotely. I work online, but like I'm not moving around yet, and you have. So this was really valuable, really interesting for me. I actually took a lot of notes while you were talking, so that I will use them later on.
Amazing. I love that.
Leo, I wanted to thank you for your time. It was an amazing podcast. We've talked for 45 minutes and it was all purely value. And guys, by the way, you can rewatch this podcast anytime you would like on YouTube on Aces of Ventures channel. And you can find there Leo's LinkedIn account. Maybe you would want to connect with him, maybe ask him a question about remote work. You can find him there. And that's it.
No, perfect. No. Again, I really, really thank you, and I really enjoyed this conversation. This podcast was really amazing. And just before, there is some links, like not some links, but I really recommend people also. There is a Reddit community for digital nomads, really, really good. So if you really like it, this subject,
if you want,
you can go to
Leo,
Reddit.
send me the link. Send me the link if you have, and I can put it in the description on the YouTube video about this podcast so people can find it.
Great. I will do that. And also Nomad the list is they give you information about cities and everything that you needed, and not just city, but there is a ton of information about nomads that if you wanted to research more about. So that is the two that I really recommend. Also indie hackers, right? Indie hackers.
Yeah.
For if you are a solo entrepreneur, solo business.
Yeah. This is amazing again. Thank you everyone for being here, and again, thank you Leo for your time. I hope everyone has an amazing rest of the day or night wherever you are.